Welcome back, everyone, to LCS Academy. We're already done with 2 series. We've had an action-packed day, and we're ready to round it right off with Dignitas QNTMPAY versus Cloud9.
There it is. Yeah, we do have our last series of the day, and unfortunately, I don't think we're going to have the same kind of stakes immediately coming out of this one, as we do have Dignitas QNTMPAY. They are currently sitting at 9th, whereas Cloud9 sitting at 5th, currently 2 games ahead of TSM, whereas Dignitas 4 games behind Immortals. 2 games, if they pick up here, will really help their options to try and get towards a playoff berth, but Cloud9 is going to be a very tough opponent for them.
It's looking very, very grim for Dignitas, and for Dignitas, it's been a very shaky season. I believe they've only had 1 complete series victory, and that was to Cloud9, so something to get a little bit excited about, have a little bit of morale boost, but things don't stay that consistent as the season goes on. Everything else has been mostly ties and defeats, and it just feels like a team that is struggling to find their identity. You do see a lot of promise coming out of Will. He's been like their superstar player. He's been doing some good plays, but we need to see the team come together as a whole, especially those solo lanes with Lorlo and Sligo.
I know this is a little bit rough to hear, but I've thought of Dignitas QNTMPAY as almost like a budget Evil Geniuses in some way, because they have a lot of priority around their mid lane, whereas with Evil Geniuses, we have Jojo Pion and Contracts working together. Here we have Will and Saligo trying to work as a unit in order to try and get some of their advantages, but they don't necessarily have the same kind of individual strength that we oftentimes see getting Evil Geniuses their wins.
Meanwhile, you look on the other side of the rift and you have Cloud9. I keep calling them the former Kings Academy. That's because it was consistently their performance. Last year, 2020, first place in both splits. Stumbling my words. And however, you look at last split as well, first place there. The only time they started to slip up is when we saw the Proving Grounds and Norg was able to best them. Now, since they've been in the summer split, it's been shaky performance after shaky performance. It's been rough for them. They went 1-1 with CLG, the same CLG we just saw get defeated a game ago. They went 1-1 with Golden Guardians as well. This is not the Cloud9 we're used to seeing perform.
And we heard from Westrice a little bit yesterday talking about what his job has been. Because he has 5 veteran players, you know, they have a little bit stronger idea on how it is that they want to be playing the game, and his job is making sure that they're going to be on the same page throughout the rest of the day. As long as they can get on the same page and have the same plan, they should be individually strong enough to execute that plan, but it can be very difficult to do that when you have a lot of people who have so much experience and, you know, do what their gut usually tells them.
All right, Cloud9, through the draft memes, let's just see. Oh, it's already banned. Oh my god.
Haha!
No Fiddlesticks for me today, sad enough.
Unlucky. Well, we did have both teams that have played a little bit of Fiddlesticks already having it banned away against them. So, Dignitas QNTMPAY, you're going to have to go after them. You know, send a not a mean, but a strongly worded letter to Inverse. It's like, man, we just want to do it. We want to see this champion on the stage again.
The first ban's coming out. The Fiddlestick focus is definitely target towards Fire. There's no surprise there. Last game, talked about how Heal and Fire are the primary Fiddlestick players of the Academy. Senna getting banned away as well. When Dignitas were able to get their first win, it was with Senna. Red side, however, so they are going to ban it away to make sure Cloud9's not able to do that. The Sin and Gwen bans for C9.
I always really like seeing Senna bans against teams that tend to play it, because it effectively, as I've been saying a couple of times, it effectively bans away a couple of champions from the support pool as well. Isles can't really play some of these other more bruisery, more carry style supports if he doesn't have a Senna to give them extra gold. So Cloud9 Academy doing what they can to just limit the strong solo laners that can be played, in particular by Lorlo. So I'm kind of expecting Dignitas QNTMPAY to really prioritize finding him a strong pickup in the top lane, and with the Viego still up, that might just be what he's going to go for.
And for Cloud9 Academy, I'm dying to see what they draft in the bot lane, because King and Isles are not afraid to go unorthodox picks. We've seen them do the whole raise the puppy strategy of taking Kog'Maw Lulu. Lulu's still very powerful in the meta currently, so it wouldn't be that far-fetched to pick a grab as the final ban going to come out. Blanc, Dignitas QNTMPAY, what are they feeling right now? Hovering the Aatrox, they're looking at the solo lanes.
I mean, I said they were going to look for something strong to pick up for Lorlo. Most of these champions are not considered particularly strong across the board, so I'd be surprised if they went with them and they end up settling on the Viego like we kind of expected in the first place. Now, we saw Renekton be the counter pick a couple of games ago for Philip, but the Irelia also left up, going to be going over, and hey, we're seeing these very aggressive characters once again being picked up for Cloud9 to try and just dive in find some kills quickly and prevent Dignitas QNTMPAY from really getting their bearings in these team fights.
Yeah, shades of the last series that we saw with CLG versus BlackQuest, the Diego into the Diana and Aurelia pickup following it immediately after. Just too strong of a champ, but now we get the spicy pick because Rek'Sai is going to be locked into Will.
I remember hearing an interesting quote. I want to say it was from one of the CLG coaches that I have not yet failed to see Rek'Sai start the game 3-0, but I also have yet to see a game where Rek'Sai wins in scrim. So expect to see a very explosive early game from Dignitas QNTMPAY, but also maybe a little bit of difficulty closing it out. They really need to get some late game power, and the Rise goes a long way towards giving them some ability to play towards the later stages of the game.
Yeah, the last game that Dignitas were able to win, it was a Rise draft that did come out of Sligo. Not the most impressive scoreline at the end of the day, 1-8, but still able to impact the map and have a very strong KDA for Dignitas. Response for Cloud9, however, is going to be the Shen. So
okay,
now that we're in the last weeks, it's time for this feisty pick.
Alright, I mean, Darshan Shen is quite good historically. I'm really curious as to why this pick is just now coming out as a counter pick to the Viego, because it stops pretty much everything that Viego does when he throws up that Spirit's Refuge, and it's not just him, it'll also limit most of Rek'Sai's damage. So, I think it's a cool pick, but if it was really as strong as it is in my head, I feel like teams would have started picking this up earlier, so I'm looking at Cloud9 Academy to prove me wrong and show why this pick on paper should have been picked earlier.
I'm curious to what the results are, because I'm looking through Cloud9's match history. I haven't seen a Shen played in a very, very long time for Darshan. We're going all the way to patch 11.2. It's been a while since he's busted out.
Okay, well, I mean, it definitely has some very clear advantages that we just talked about, especially in terms of the W against these champions. It has a lot of global pressure in its ability to run around the map, and with 2 solo laners and a jungler already picked up for Dignitas QNTMPAY, it means that he doesn't have to worry about the Nocturne potentially stopping his ultimate, unless they want to be really cheeky and throw like some Nocturne support just to stop the Shen from being anywhere.
Nocturne has fallen off quite a bit. Came into the realm, at least. That way, I'm not sure what I'm trying to say it as, but 11.13, we saw so much Nocturne. I believe he was at the very top when he came to President, falling right off of 11.14. More bans to go through. They're banning away that Kog'Maw that I like sneaking play, all to my sad.
And I
haven't seen Spawn play.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a super common pick, right? Cloud9 have a really large champion pool to pull from on every single one of their players, but we see, you know, 80 carry, functional 80 carry, and then 2 supports, and so a lot of the most common things that we've been seeing in the bottom half of the map are already taken off the table. I feel like this could be, I mean, it was going to be an 80 carry. I was going to guess Tristana, Varus, or Kalista in roughly that order, and so I'm glad to see that Tristana is going to be coming through to also give Cloud9 some later game insurance.
Tristana locked in. Let's see what the response from Dignitas QNTMPAY is going to be. Just hovering the Ezreal for the time being. Dignitas have gone for the more utility ADCs when they do get a chance to. Ezreal would follow that role just a bit, able to self-heal, be a little bit more safe if he wants to go out roaming, but instead, we're going for the Kai'Sa.
I think the Kai'Sa is a little bit surprising here with the number of melee champions that are already on the other team. Kai'Sa dives in is, you know, the major thing that the ultimate can be used for, and I think here it's mostly being used as a self-heal tool and isn't necessarily going to be quite as effective as Ezreal's Arcane Shift would typically be. The shield is nice, it's not necessarily going to be doing the same kind of thing overall. Now with a couple of primary supports already banned away, Alistar is looking to be the pick up for JJ, and so Isles looking at probably either a Leona or a Rel here in order to round out the composition and make sure that they have primary engage for Surenfire and Darshan and Poppy to really follow up.
And it's a classic combo, really, having the Kai'Sa and Alistar. But what's not so classic is Tristana and Taric. The last time we've seen a Taric, it was to very, very shaky results. Curious as to why they want to go it in this one. There's a lot of sudden engage that come out from the Alistar that you're going to have to deal with. You have to survive that first onslaught, and then you're going to see a lot from Cosmic Radiance.
I mean, I like the Taric as a teamfight pick, right? But I'm not convinced that it's going to be the strongest thing here in the lane because the Cosmic Radiance, you know, keeps you safe. It denies at least one full rotation from Saligo and pushes it back where he can't really do any damage during that entire thing, and it allows your wombo combo of Irelia and Diana to kind of pop off in the beginning parts of the fight. But during the lane, is a little bit too reactive, and it has very strong abilities, but they tend to be pretty telegraphed going up against the Kai'Sa Alistar. So, King and Isles, I mean, they're very strong players. I think they can prove us wrong, but they're definitely setting themselves up for a situation where they have to execute.
What I can kind of see out of this is potential early game plays, early to mid game plays, where they are going for like very ruthless tower dives, because Cosmic Radiance works so well with that. We know that oh so well. But meanwhile, Diana, Tristana, they have their own utility to be able to get in and out of these fights. The big thing is the Shen. The Shen can join a fight on a whim, doesn't need to worry about the teleport, has to stand united. This is going to enable so much diveability from Cloud9 Academy's competition.
They're also opting to have Darshan take the Ignite. I mean, we've been seeing this more and more as people are picking this up as a combat summoner in order to have the extra damage necessary to win some of these duels, but it's also less safety available to these top players. When you're expecting to just go for a lot of these brawls, the Ignite tends to be rather useful because it's on a short cooldown. It'll be up more often than the Flash. You're not going to have the Shen taunt Flash available ever. He can never be this super effective, aggressive, like, team fight starting.
So looking at the standings, once again, this is very, very do or die, as we keep saying at the start of this week. Dignitas in a pretty rough situation, all things considered. They only had one win in the regular season. They really need to reckon those wins to try and get themselves into a spot where they can be competitive for playoffs.
Well, Cloud9 going to be starting off on the top side here. Both junglers going to be starting at red buffs, and it looks like a little bit of pings towards the bottom side of the map. Cloud9 seems to have some kind of idea of what's going on here, but not necessarily going to have anything more than a theory at this point, because nobody is going to be helping this Rek'Sai leash, and so Will going to be a little bit slower on the clear than we would have initially seen, and I'm expecting Surenfire should be able to clear faster and show up wherever they want, maybe about 10-15 seconds before Will is able to respond.
Joshi, when's the last time we've seen a Rek'Sai in Academy? I feel like it's definitely been a hot minute. I almost want to pull up that stat real quick just to
yeah, go for it.
to see how rare this champion is. We did have 2 picks during 11.13, so it has seen some play here and there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a champion that is very all in, right? You are very focused on getting some of these early game ganks off, and if you don't do that, well, your champion is, you know, it's all damage, right? And that's really it. You have like one crowd control, and hopefully you can blow somebody up in that period, because if you don't do that, you're, you know, a melee champion without a dash. You can't really move around the team fight.
And I completely forgot, those 2 games are Will himself. He is the Rek'Sai enthusiast.
We'll see how effective he can be. It's something that you can be very aggressive with, and he is going to spot out Surenfire. Surenfire goes in.
So he's going deep. Surenfire's looking to take the fight to Will. Will falls to about sub 200 health, but will be fine. The wandering arms of his support gets some safety, but is not going to be able to steal away the blue.
Wow, Surenfire just able to bully around the Rek'Sai. That's a pretty unfortunate position for Will to be in. Going for a potential cheeky steal, but unfortunately has no vision, and now that he doesn't see anything going on, is just going to be able to pick up this Scuttle Crab because his opponent thinks he's already gone.
Thinks he's gone. Scuttle gets picked up by Will, and he's headed straight for the top side of the river. You can already see the ping on the mini-map. He wants to make sure this is going to be a double Scuttle.
Bit cheeky coming through for Will, but it is going to mean that Surenfire, once they see this tunnel created in the mid lane, will have a pretty good idea of what's going on, and Surenfire gonna have to back away and just concede this over. But Will is getting a pretty neat invade going on, or a very cool path that is going to limit some of Surenfire's early farming capabilities, and so far, I'm kind of impressed with this Rek'Sai, but it does need to find an early gank soon, because farming Rek'Sai is not bad, but you definitely want killing Rek'Sai more than farming Rek'Sai.
I'm curious if they know where Will is. Them being Cloud9, you do have the recall coming out of Surenfire. He's headed towards the top side of the map. Darshan's pushing a little bit forward, but you can tell he's being very cautious.
Oh, they don't think he's top.
Doesn't look like they think he's top yet. Darshan getting closer. Once he goes in for that CS, they're going to go straight for the engage, and that's exactly what happens.
No flash.
Trying to get his way out. The teleport's going to come through. Cloud9 are going to try and punish this, but teleport for teleport. Here comes Copy looking to join the fight. Still burrowed is Will, looking to get the knockup. Will find it onto Copy as Lorlo is able to flash away, but Will sacrifice himself for first blood to try and get Lorlo to survive, but even then, Lorlo goes down. A kill going over to Darshan, a kill going over to Surenfire, off to the races if you're Cloud9.
Wow, Cloud9 going to be a huge victor in this. At least Lorlo's going to be able to teleport back, but Soligo spending a little bit of time walking back towards the top lane because it took them too long to communicate whether he's going to teleport. So Copy now has a freeze in the mid lane if he wants it, and Isles also walking all the way from bottom lane to top does have an opportunity to give Cloud9 a really big advantage with these 2 kills over Dignitas QNTMPAY.
And it seemed like it was going to be all right. Will headed towards that top side. He did spend a little bit way too much time there because there was only one other place the Diana would head to.
True. I mean, they typically thought that Will is going to be farming his side of the jungle, but Copy comes through. He's got the teleport first, and he's way stronger at this point in the game than the Ryze is. And once the Tarek shows up, it's very easy to find the next kill, and it's so difficult for Ryze to really impact these team fights. We see a fight in the mid lane.
Going right after Soligo, but Soligo's going to get underneath the tower, headbutt pulverized just for show onto King. This is allowing enough positioning for Cloud9 Academy to set up for this Infernal Drake. Free to take. Will's just watching around. I don't know if he knows that some of these Raptors are on him. Want to back off. Don't have an ultimate from Surenfire. There's not many level 6s, none level 6s, excuse me, as Cloud9 are going to back up for Infernal.
Copy just dinged level 6. That means that the other mid laners are starting to get close to this as well. Soligo's still just level 5, but Darshan, not quite level 6 quite yet. He lost a decent amount of farm during that last interaction, so he needs to be able to clear out this wave. He wants to get level 6 to potentially join a dragon fight. Whereas it looks like Surenfire backing away a little bit and giving Dignitas QNTMPAY more control of the jungle.
Lorlo using the ultimate there. He was really worried about the engage from Darshan. Darshan did not have Ignite up. Didn't get the taunt off. Just being real cautious about that one.
Felt like he was worried that Surenfire was there too, right? Like,
Yeah.
He doesn't have flash available. If there's an option for Surenfire to be around the corner, he would just rather get out of there. Anything else? So, I mean, better safe than sorry, but it is a situation where the information differential between the two teams does mean that Dignitas has to avoid taking some of these risks. They need to be calculated with what they're doing right now, because the last time they tried to make a gank work, it got turned on its head really heavily.
We see these supports roaming towards the mid lane. Miles is going to start roaming towards that top side, just to get into the jungle, try and figure out his pathing right after. You always see that coming out from supports nowadays. They just get that path going top-sided, just see if there's anything that's going on before they start rotating towards the mid lane and then eventually back to bot.
Makes sense. You always want to make sure to hedge your bets when there's nothing that you're going to be losing for it. So, Isles walking towards the top side, very committed to this play. They know there's no flash and no ultimate on Lorlo. With this lane frozen, I think Lorlo, he smells that something is up, right? Like, it's very hard for him to walk up with the Ignite.
Why not? He keeps getting closer and closer as this wave. Now just right next to the tower. Isles is going to pop off. Lorlo realizes what's going on. Isles spots the control ward. Just going to take that instead. Not really going to go for the engage there. You told. Surenfire will start up Shelly instead.
Okay, well, people are here. Ultimates are starting to come through. Both Lorlo and Will have theirs, where Isles is only level 5. First Stand United is available as well. And so with people here first, they gotta be a little bit careful of the fact that Spawn is rotating, but King is not.
1,000 health remains on the Rift Herald as JJ goes for the engage. We'll get the headbutt pulverize onto Copy. Not going to have much follow-up damage, so Surenfire will return that engage. A flash over the wall for Soligo to be able to stay alive, and now here comes Spawn. Killer Instinct goes straight for the backline. Will's going to fall, but it's going to be a 1-for-1 as Surenfire will fall as well. Jungler for jungler. Still on the chase is going to be Lorlo. Using the ultimate, gets the double kill onto Isles. Isolated completely is going to be Darshan. Soligo will grab that kill. And a wild fight results in a 1-for-2 exchange, making this 3-for-3 on the scoreline.
That was a disaster for Cloud9. They didn't pick up the Rift Herald. They let it expire. They were all right there. Nobody grabbed it, so all they do is give over kills to the enemy team. You get 100 gold for killing the Rift Herald. That's it. That is not enough. Copy is still very strong and threatening Soligo, but Will is right around the corner, and Copy has to know that something is up. Soligo would not be walking forward if he didn't have help around the corner. But that was a brutal fight. Spawn showed up, and it's a big difference maker in this last fight. It looks not bad, but Surenfire, I think he thought he picked it up. You see, Isles is like, oh, guys, we haven't picked it up just quite yet, but he has to commit to the fight as well. And Spawn gets here, there's no Tristana, and even though they pick up 1 kill, they are now routed because that is the reset for Lorlo on this Viego. He's able to get another one as well as he picks up Isles here. Make sure he's going to be healthy throughout the entire fight. So that was rough coming in from Cloud9. At least King's getting a little bit of gold.
And that could have been so much different if Isles was at least level 6, because there was enough time in that fight for Cosmic Radiance to go off, but not getting that EXP, not being able to get to that level due to all the roaming that we see supports do nowadays, is going to result in a big team fight loss coming out for Cloud9.
Bonk. Yep. JJ knocking him away, but it's still going to be a plate going over, so King gets 3 plates for himself. That's going to be a kill and a half, so it is going to be equalizing. It's effectively 2.5 kills getting picked up, and I guess with the Rift Herald, you're kind of getting 3 kills in extra gold beyond the fight, so they're still ahead in overall gold on the map, but it's definitely a spot where they didn't have to be in a position where the game is even. They could have gotten a little bit more if they had the Rift Herald in their pocket, so small mistakes coming through a little bit too aggressive in terms of wanting to go for the fight ends up putting them in a position where they should be winning by more.
We got 4 minutes until Dragon spawns. Both of the junglers now taking the recalls. Top side jungle has been completely cleared out. You have red buff spawning pretty soon for Surenfire. So both junglers' attentions are going to be onto this bottom side. You can see Copy already kind of preemptively starting to move. Gets the vision onto that side to possibly spot out where Will could be. Rotation coming out of Isles all meanwhile. If anyone wants to contest a fight yet.
I'm a little bit worried for Dignitas QNTMPAY, because even though we've already highlighted the fact that Will needs to find some of these early kills in order to be relevant as this Rek'Sai, they are 0-2-1. Surenfire goes in.
We'll find the ultimate and we'll take down Saligo. Oh, so easy it was. Another kill going over to Surenfire, putting a scoreline to 2-1-2.
Well, that was easy. When the Diana's the one doing that and not the Rek'Sai, it becomes a very difficult spot for Will to play out the rest of this game. Saligo can look to teleport back in, but Copy already going to be backing away, clearing this out potentially. Will going to be finding a flank if they want to go for a fight, but it's so difficult to go up against Copy. He's already got the board drinker completed as the Irelia.
Yeah, and it's a 2-level difference. There's no chance to really go for that unless you do have backup. So not willing to go for it will be Will. Instead, we'll start heading over towards this top side, but so is Isles. Constantly roaming, constantly looking for plays on the map. Will's starting to back off now, but Isles is still towards this top end. Gonna get a recall out of Darshan, so no action gonna be seen.
I feel like it's so hard to gank as a Taric, right? Like, your engage is flash stun, or like stun flash, right? To line it up afterwards, and it's pretty telegraphed. It is difficult for Taric to just have like that dash to just jump on top of somebody and get the crowd control. So he's running around getting some vision control, but I mean, you see the question mark pings coming out from the side of Dignitas QNTMPAY are like, what is this guy doing here? What is he trying to accomplish? There's no objectives on the top side. He's just going to be giving up some experience, and in return, giving King more experience to get more range on all of his abilities.
That's why you just make all of Taric's ganks tower dives. Cosmic Radiance. Screw it. Don't have to worry about that very slow stun coming out. We're just tower diving, boys.
Go, let's go. Well, he hasn't done that quite yet either. It's difficult to gank Lorlo, right? He does have the flash. He does have the unstoppable ultimate. So, like, it's very difficult to lock this guy down on your own. As Darshan thinks that there's somebody else is here. Shen is falling behind a little bit, but they're also going for a Divine Sunderer on Shen. Not going for the, more traditional, like, tank style build.
Yeah, just wants to get a lot of damage in, I guess. Just going for the fight. He
Okay.
does. I mean, it's a teleport ignite. Why not? You got ignite. Just swing, baby, swing.
I mean, it does, do a lot of damage, right? But there aren't a lot of tanky members, but just a regular pen. Oh, we'll go back to that. Surenfire just goes.
Surenfire goes for the engage behind the tower. Can't get on Saligo. Saligo's going to burn his flash, but here comes the retaliation as Lorlo is able to show up with the TP. Goes right after Isles. The ultimate going to be burnt out of Copy. Trying to shut down Lorlo. Try to get that damage on the Lorlo, who has to use the ultimate to be able to get away. Now here comes JJ. Headbutt pulverized. Finds the combo. Onto Darshan. Darshan takes a lot of damage. It echoes out to the rest of Cloud9, and that is their message to take the disengage.
They're a little bit more of an ultimate reliant team, and they've already blown a couple big ultimates before the dragon has actually spawned. So Cloud9 really commit heavily for this fight, and they're not going to be getting anything out of it, just a little bit of damage on the structure. So Copy is going to maintain some pressure here in the mid lane, and I think their fight is still going to be okay because they were able to hang on to the Cosmic Radiance. But it's still a big commitment where Dignitas QNTMPAY can now look to try and be at a location first and have more say over this dragon than they would have otherwise. Still a 3,000 gold deficit.
Here we go, the engage on the Copy headbutt. Pulverize is going to lock him up. Will the Cosmic Radiance come out in time? Answer is going to be yes. Going invulnerable, Copy will be able to get underneath his tower. The save coming out for Miles.
Okay, he has a teleport. The Cosmic Radiance is burned though, so big play coming through from Dignitas. They're going to be in a prime position to actually try and take this dragon, but they're a little bit slow. They don't know they're on a ward.
They have no idea they're on a ward. They have some sense that the Isles is there, thanks to the tremor sense. But not knowing they're on a ward themselves means they're just wasting time there. And look at this. Schernfire's waiting in the wings. He's waiting in the bush. He's ready to surprise the cow. And here comes the engagement. Takes half his health in a single combo. Gets him running with his tail between his legs as he starts walking over towards the Cloud Drake.
And this is what happens, right? This is why I've been liking this trend in teams just hitting the objectives, because it takes a long time for people to walk over. They don't necessarily know when you're hitting it. They don't have the vision control, and this is a situation where Cloud9, despite the fact that they were the ones pushed back originally, aren't going to be able to pick up the dragon. So Dignitas QNTMPAY is continuing to fall a little bit further behind, still about 2,500, 3,000 gold between the two teams. This bottom lane turret almost completely gone. Cloud9 are looking pretty good across the map so far, with the one exception of that botched Rift Herald play.
You have a little bit of an exception over in the top lane. Darshan has been getting the best farm. Lorlo has been able to go up 20 CS. Has 2 kills as well. This might be the only real strong point that we have coming out of Dignitas thus far.
Yeah, small oof there. Copy misses a cannon. Bottom lane turret goes down. But now we're seeing people start to come through as Nico has the teleport. It doesn't look like Cloud9 is willing to make a play for this. They still have Stand United available, and as you said, can still push underneath their own turret. So instead, Cloud9 just walking directly to mid lane. We don't need the Rift Herald to take the turret. We can just hit the structure. And Dignitas QNTMPAY showing that they can at least remember to pick up the objective.
Cloud9 showing up when Rift Herald's already long gone. Not much health left in that mid lane tower. They were already able to take the bottom lane tower, which King has been free farming quite a bit. Has a small CS lead against his lane opponent Spawn. Now, being able to complete some items, does have the Kraken Slayer. Does the Zeal item working for him. Taking the reset, and it does seem like the rest of Cloud9 are just going to bide their time a little bit. There's no real neutral objective to go over. Nothing they can really find on the map. Just taking the rotation as they throw King over towards the top side.
Be looking to pick up this turret. Darshan is diveable. Remember, he doesn't have flash. He didn't choose to take that summoner spell. Instead, he has ignite. So there's a potential opportunity if the Dignitas QNTMPAY want to send more members towards the top half. They could potentially try and find this. And we already see JJ and Will here. So Darshan has to be very careful about his prospects here. And this is why we see Isles waiting in the wing.
Oh, and here comes King with a very simple rocket jump to get the harassment on the spawn. Still got to look at top side, though. Isles in the wings will be able to put down the control ward, spot out JJ, and will walk over the next ward. There's a control ward there. Trying to deny some vision and be able to take away that ward. Now Schernfire on the flank, just scouting out where Dignitas QNTMPAY are going.
I really wanted to make a joke about waiting in the water wings because it's Tarek in the pool party skin, but the moment is kind of passed at this point. But I'm going to say it anyway, but I'm going to soften it by making it sound like I wasn't going to say it. So you have to hear it anyway. Congratulations.
I think you kind of overcommitted to this already.
Nobody ever accused me of doing otherwise.
Fair, fair. Is the life of Joshua Joshi Howard.
Right, I always think of these like funny things to say that would have been really good, like in the moment, and I think of them like 2 seconds too slow, and then you're just like, man, this game is slowed down quite a bit as well. That's a segue.
Nice
Slow,
segue.
slow. Copy might be getting caught here by JJ. The realm war comes through.
Speed it up. Copy will be able to get the stun onto JJ. JJ now on the chase. Doesn't have a stun of his own, but does have the pulverized headbutt on Burrow coming out of Will, while a shutdown going on to Will.
War Drinker bought him a lot of HP, but he saves his Flash, so that's something, right? They're still 4,000 gold ahead just because they've been moving around the map a little bit better. They've taken down a couple of structures that are, as of yet, unmatched by Dignitas QNTMPAY. So Cloud9 pretty happy with this. That was an interesting usage of invisibility from Lorlo.
Juking him.
Yeah. Juking him in by not moving. Actually, real strategy, though. Let's go. Okay, minute left until this dragon comes up as Cloud9 looking to be the first ones to the punch. They have a lot more vision control, and so they should be able to dictate whether or not Dignitas QNTMPAY is going to be walking into this fight. But we also have an opportunity where Dignitas can be pretty aggressive around this Baron. This is why we're seeing this fight over the Scuttle Crab.
Be careful here. Will and JJ in the area, spawn not too far behind. King's gonna back off, go ahead and forfeit that Scuttle Crab over Dignitas QNTMPAY. If Surenfire way too far from the fight to be able to get in, but he is close enough to that Drake that will be spawning in the next 30 seconds. Mountain Drake just waiting to hit the map. It will put Cloud9 at sole point.
Okay. Darshan looking to potentially be the play. He spots out Will and he's like, oh, alright guys, well, just take the dragon here in a couple of seconds. The Rift Herald's getting dropped. But it looks like Cloud9 is instead looking to stop the play rather than start one of their own. Dignitas sending a lot of members up here to the top side. So we're potentially getting a full-on fight here. Surenfire over the wall announces his position and takes a little bit of JJ's HP.
Now we got 4 strong Dignitas QNTMPAY. Cloud9 just defending against it, not really going for anything too wild. The moment I say that, King just goes for the assassination on Tristana of all champions. That being said, Cloud9 happy to take this Drake after Dignitas put their attention topside.
I really like this play from Copy. He could have been spending time in the bottom lane picking up the bottom lane turret, but he knows they are one dragon away at this point from picking up the Mountain Soul, and the extra resistances make it really difficult for Dignitas QNTMPAY to actually win a lot of these fights. So, going to be a good position for them. They aren't going to be getting the bottom lane turret gold just quite yet, but Copy should be pretty confident that he can come back rather soon and try and take that. So overall, Cloud9 still in a dominant position, but they need to figure out how they actually want to close this because the game has really slowed down. 8 kills now as we're crushing the 22-minute mark.
Yeah, when I saw this composition, I was expecting heavy dives, and not really getting that right now. It hasn't been the full aggro engage that you would think would come from a composition like this. I mean, with both Aurelia and Diana and how fast they can get onto the backline, how fast they can set up a dive. Instead, it's been what feels like rather passive play coming out from Cloud9. The only one who hasn't been passive is King, who just hops in onto Sligo at any given notice.
You know, feels kind of bored sometimes, right? When you're playing Tristana, it's like, hey, there hasn't been any fighting, let me create some of that for myself. Shen also eventually gives up the top of turret to the Rift Herald, like we said. You know, holding pretty steady in terms of this CS deficit. It can be hard for Shen to push forward aggressively without flash, and now Cloud9 bringing a lot of members to the top side of the map. The Scuttle Crab has respawned, and now they have vision control over this potential Baron, and their champions do it rather quickly. So if they think that Dignitas QNTMPAY are sleeping at the wheel, Cloud9 can just start hitting.
Cloud9 playing with a lot of the vision there as Dignitas struggle to maintain their counter vision. Able to deny that from Cloud9. Now the rest of the members of Cloud9 are headed towards the top side. Pretty much everyone, as you have Copy coming in from the back as well, right on the flank. Orlo trying to clear out this wave really quickly, making sure that Cloud9 don't get close enough to this tower to be able to take it down, and they will be able to defend it. 5 members strong is Cloud9 on this top side, and a lot of time spent doing that.
This is one of the big things about League of Legends that we don't necessarily see all that often is if Cloud9 sees Dignitas complete some of these backs, they can actually just start hitting the Baron because it takes too long for them to return to the top side of the map. And oh
no, JJ gets stunned up.
Okay.
Luckily, he's an Alistair. He got no problem popping R right there. We'll be able to walk away, but now they are well aware that Cloud9 are in their jungle. Gonna take away the red buff, Surenfire.
Well, that's very helpful for Cloud9 that they're getting that ultimate out now. But Darshan, I mean, he's able to walk away, which is a really big boon in a lot of these fights going up against Lorlo, simply because he doesn't necessarily need to win this lane as much as just not lose it super hard, because the rest of his map is doing well, but their gold lead hasn't grown. It's been sitting around the same mark for a long time. This turret going down does make Copy a little bit richer. But they're not necessarily in a spot where they feel like they have to do anything right now. They have the Mountain Dragon coming up in minute 45, and if they're able to pick that up, it becomes very easy for them to start taking some more aggressive dives because they have extra resistances and can ignore the turret more.
Feels like a game of inches. They're really just trying to take things very, very slowly, and, you know, they are. They have those 3 Drakes. They got that turret over in the bottom lane, putting them 3-1 in towers now. Slowly gaining leads, and it's working out quite well. Just wondering when we're going to hit that explosive moment, because look at that CS difference over in the mid lane. Just waiting for Copy to pop off. CS difference over in the jungle as well. You have a CS difference with King. A lot of explosive potential on Cloud9 Academy.
I'm kind of getting worried for Will at this point, right? Because the Rek'Sai, unfortunately, is kind of past its prime. Yeah, it is looking like they're going for a Sterix after the Prowler's Claw, so they do a lot of damage, potentially. But they do have to be very judicious with their target selection, because the Prowler's Claw amplifies your damage against a single target, so you can use it to dash through someone in order to get to the back line. But that means you're not going to be doing as much damage to whoever else it is you're going to be trying to hit. And Will, relatively squishy even once he completes the Sterix. Cloud9 moving in, they're taking control, they're limiting the vision of Dignitas QNTMPAY to play with, so it's going to be difficult for Dignitas to even try and go for a steal here if Cloud9 play this right.
Definitely want to see more proactivity come out of Dignitas. That's going to start it up right there. Headbutt pulverized from JJ onto Copy. No one to follow up, so no engage to come through. But meanwhile, in the mid lane, looking to engage onto Fire. Sun comes out, not going to land on anything. King hopping over with a rocket jump. Goes right after Lorlo. Cosmic Radiance can provide him some invulnerability to be able to buy time to go in with those autos. But immediately, Dignitas, they see that, they run away.
That's a big cooldown expended in the Cosmic Radiance, and now Lorlo's going to be able to back away and teleport back into the fight, but Isles will not have his ultimate for a while, and you're already seeing Lorlo going down to the bottom side. How are Cloud9 going to play this? Are they just going to engage on the other side?
They're just going to go straight for the engage. Ultimate's coming. Fire's able to get the first kill. Lower and lower, they're going right after JJ, and King's going to Goomba stomp all over this place, bringing the rockets left, right, front, center, take down Saligo, clean up the mid lane. Lorlo, that teleport was for nothing when it takes that much time to get to the team fight.
I loved that play coming in from Cloud9. They see that Lorlo's teleporting to the bottom lane to look for a flank around the dragon, and Cloud9 say, we don't need that. We don't need to go for the dragon right now. We can just engage on the 4 members because we know you can no longer join. Cloud9 now looking to pick up multiple objectives. They send 2 people down to pick up the dragon. That's the Mountain Soul, and then they can transition people up to make sure there's no opportunity for Lorlo to contest. Cloud9 really capitalizing on what feels like a small mistake coming out from Dignitas QNTMPAY that's going to result in a huge explosion of the lead that Cloud9 had.
Oh man, we said this was going to get explosive, but little did I know. Look at the Yordle go, waiting for that Goomba stop rocket jump to come in, and King was on fire, so was the rest of Cloud9.
And look at where Lorlo is. He's still not participating in the fight. He's so far away. The rotation between lanes just takes too long. You won't get to a fight most of the time. About 60 to 70% of the time, you just won't make it. So Cloud9 doing a fantastic job just fighting really explosively, in Isles finding JJ maybe.
JJ, wrong neighborhood, brother. Here comes Fire as well. Make sure Saligo is punished. JJ will be able to flash over the wall, but King is going to follow and destroy them. A double kill coming out for King as Cloud9 make their mark on the rift. Now Will try to make for dodge, try to get away. Will get the unburrowed knockup to dissuade Darshan, but look at the rest of your base, buddy. It's getting destroyed.
Multiple turrets going down. Lorlo is going to find a structure in the bottom side of the map. Cloud9 going to be getting 2 turrets, 3 turrets so far off this Baron, and they're not done. There should be multiple inhibitors going down before the Baron buff expires, as they're going to be taking the mid lane inhibitor turret, they're going to be taking the top lane inhibitor turret, and both of these inhibitors. And they're still full HP. They don't necessarily need to leave if they don't want to, but they are going to be backing away, seeing that the respawn timers are a little bit too low. Don't want to be diving both Nexus turrets, and instead are just going to be eating the jungle of Dignitas QNTMPAY right here on the bottom side. So Cloud9, big win after spotting out a couple members of their opponents.
And how in the world do you stop them? They've gotten so much at one explosive moment where they were able to get that Dragon Soul and Baron at the same time. Next explosive moment, they clean out 2 inhibitors. momentum is on their side, and Dignitas, they seem like they have no answer for what Cloud9 has brought to the Rift.
It feels bad, right? Because it's just one teleport that is going to be likely going to be the deciding factor in this game with such a large lead that Cloud9 have built up for themselves. Now they just park everybody bottom lane. They bring the last 40 seconds of their Baron down here, and they might be able to crash it by then, but mostly they just use their extra large gold lead that they've been able to pick up to make sure that the members of Dignitas QNTMPAY can't go anywhere else. Copy, now fighting Slig on the top lane. This should be...
Not gonna be Realm Warp. I mean, real clutch for
Saligo,
but doesn't look like Copy wants to give up the hunt just yet. Nope, they're gonna give it up now. Can't really catch up for Blue Man.
The stun isn't going to, going to land. The flawless duet was slightly flawed, but it's okay. Darshan, the rest of the Cloud9 members are going to be hitting this inhibitor, and that is all 3 inhibitors already gone at this point. And now Cloud9, the question is, how do they want to play this? In 3 minutes, they got a couple big objectives to play for, but they can just fight.
Lorlo trying to find an answer, but Suredfire has a better one. 3 down just like that for Dignitas QNTMPAY, and now Cloud9 Academy, they set their sights on the base. They set their sights on the Nexus. They're setting their sights on playoffs as they're able to take game number 1 of this best-of-2 series versus Dignitas.
It was a little bit of a slower game overall coming out from Cloud9. Once they realized they had an advantage, they didn't give up a single kill afterwards. 4-4 turns into 4-14 in favor of Cloud9 as they capitalize on a teleport heading towards the bottom lane and never let go of the vice grip. They just play the map fantastically, and ultimately, while it starts off slow, it ends in a dominating fashion as they are trying to find a better seed for playoffs.
I mean, Lorlo had a pretty good lane over on the top side for Dignitas, but that was it right there, because Darshan was too busy influencing the map with the Standy Knights, with the teleports, and with the sudden engages that we'd see coming out of Cloud9 Academy as they would hit those very, very vital breakpoints. The one thing that really did pop out is just how much Dignitas was biding their time. You can't really do that when you have a Tristan on the map, because her range gets further and further, her power spike gets more and more stronger.
If you expect your Ryze to be able to carry the game, maybe you have an argument about it. But the thing is, you already picked the Rek'Sai, you're committing to the first half of the game. You can't really rely on this late game insurance when you're going to be focused so hard on just finding a snowball. Commit to the early game, commit to the late game. Letting this halvesies isn't going to be doing you a whole lot of good. So Cloud9, they're very comfortable just waiting the game out. They do that until they find the one necessary mistake. And then, this is why this team is so feared. They have a lot of veteran players. They can capitalize whenever they see something that they smell is just not quite right.
All right, that's game number 1 done, but this is a best-of-2 series. Can Dignitas QNTMPAY bring it back to Cloud9, or is it going to be a quick 2-0 sweep for the Old Kings? We're going to throw it over to short break. When we return, we'll get into that game number 2. Be sure to stay tuned for more LCS Academy.